welcome back to Sextras,
where we talk about sex and all the extras.
I'm Honey.
And I'm Maria.
And today we are joined by Sayra to talk all about sexual meditation. We're very excited. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
We wanted to start by asking what zone everyone is in today. So
I think I go between blue and purple.
Okay.
There's like a little bit of both. It's a deep time we live in, so I'm always digging into some uncomfortable stuff also and some healing. So there's blue in there for sure. But there's a lot of purple. There's a lot of lusty, fun, good okay. Creative energy.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Maria, what do you relate?
Yeah, but I'm feeling definitely in the yellow zone. I'm really excited. I'm like in a really positive place.
I think I'm feeling quite white today. I'm in the white zone, just kind of self-care, focusing on myself. I'm open to suggestion as well, so I guess a bit of green, but yeah, mainly white.
Okay.
Oh, that's beautiful, you guys. I love it. I've been thinking a lot about chakras and the different colors, and this is basically what this is. It's the chakra system.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's very similar.
Wow. See, this was Maria's idea, and she came up with that without even realizing the connection.
Yeah, you're spot on. Yeah. I was biking today, and I was thinking about blue a lot. Had a lot of tension in my neck, a little bit of a neck ache. So I think that's why I was thinking about blue, and that's the color. And I was like, oh, should I? And then here I am in a blue coat, so I'm working through some blues.
Yeah, it's interesting how there's colors that we kind of intuitively associate with feelings.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah. Let's get into the episode. Sayra started a sexual meditation app, which is it specifically for women, or is it tailored more towards women?
It is tailored toward women, but couples do enjoy it. I think it's a nice bridge between, but it's geared toward the women. Yeah.
Okay, so yes, Sayra's the founder and CEO of Guided by Glow, and you're an actor, a writer. You said you're a yogi. So yeah, we're just going to get into that. You've been featured on Goop and very impressive platforms. So we're really excited to get into it. And yeah, your app definitely looks really interesting. So could you tell us a bit about what sexual meditation actually is for people who might not already know?
Amazing. Well, I started meditating a long, long time ago, and I've gone in and out of being somebody who practices meditation. It always helps me, but it's not always a thing I feel like doing. Even though I can like be the greatest breakthrough and life is green and white and yellow. But yeah, the next day I'm like, meh, I don't feel like it, even if it's 5 minutes. But I do practice and I do love it. And it gives me so much empowerment and works through a lot of accumulated tension. So I was listening to a meditation, and the person speaking had a nice voice, and I thought, wow, like I really like how in meditation and in yoga classes, the person speaking speaks to your body. You know, those yoga teachers who are like looking at the bodies and teaching through that, it always really frees me up just to like surrender and give over. And so this person was speaking, and I thought his voice was so nice and my body was so relaxed and reactive. And I thought, what if he started suggesting sexual things, or better, like getting in this creative state where I could imagine something that he was suggesting. So I looked for it and I couldn't find it. So I started making it. And so a sexual meditation there's lots of forms it can take: first person, third person. It can be, there's always a drop in. There's like, and they're not too long. Some of them are a little long because, you're hoping to have an orgasm when you listen to a sexual meditation. So you don't want to, don't make me breathe for too long, for fuck's sake, So, but you know what you're there for. So if somebody's like taking you through a mountain journey and looking at deer and, you're like, come on, let's
when's it getting to the good part?
I know. I had one that came through and the guy was recording and I was like, how did this script get past me? He's talking about a deer on a mountain. Like, we can't, nobody's going to want to hear about a deer on a mountain. And it's like, well, maybe they do, but it just seemed a little bit much. So there's a drop into the body and the senses. I'm also a method actress, and if you see a method actor, their bodies are very, very alive and very, very relaxed and receptive and open. And they get this really like creative state they're in, and it's just mesmerizing. But that technique of sensory work is another way to drop in if it's not just a typical meditation. So I do a little bit of both of those. So there's a drop in for the sexual meditation. And then there's like, either the suggestions are to imagine this scenario, like taking a jogger that you see regularly on your morning runs comes home with you. So you start like saying the little active details that happen so you can kind of get into this fantasy. And then it's like full on intimacy. And the person's telling you, I'm doing this or they're doing this. And you get this, offering of a sexual experience to imagine yourself inside. And then some of them are not stories. I differentiate them between stories, meditation, and I just started soundscapes, which are more abstract. And then the meditations are the guide just talking to you directly. Like, I am touching you. I am X, Y, and Z. All of the good stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so it kind of varies from like very personal, person to person kind of not interactions, what's the right word?
Experience.
But like, it feels like like a
like
direct experience. Yeah, like
to more kind of, I'm guessing soundscapes is more audio based and based on the sounds and feelings rather than...
That's new. I just have one release, but I think it's nice to have one that's a little more abstracted, just the sounds that like realistic. The first one's he wakes up next to you and then he just like, oh, let me take off this and that. And it's not a full story. I'm talking the whole time. It's as if the thing is happening.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I feel like arousal can be very abstract. Sometimes it's literally just like the feeling of skin or, I don't know, like a sound that you hear rather than, something's being described to you.
It's very sensory. That's why even in the descriptions, I try to get in so many sensory cues, because I know as an actress, if you say, imagine your favorite fruit, and I imagine my favorite fruit, like my heart just opened. I thought of a raspberry. I could feel it on my tongue. I would like in a sensual experience just that quickly.
Yeah. So you were saying that you have meditated a lot throughout your life, but was there, if you don't mind us asking, was there were you having problems, or did you struggle to connect with people sexually, and that's why you thought a sexual meditation would be a good route to go down, or was it tailored more towards women overall?
I don't think it was intended to be meditative at first. It was just meant to be sexy because I didn't have much success finding stimulus. I could, I just couldn't find things, other than like watching Alexander Skarsgård and something, but like, there just wasn't like, I had a hard time finding pornography that didn't make me feel gross personally. And then I would, if I did find some, I had to go through so much to get to it that I was like, what am I doing? I don't want to do this. So I wanted something that felt like it was sex in the light. It was sex for pleasure and sensory and connection and intimacy, something that wasn't full of shadowy shame and doing something bad. And so I was just like, I just want it to be sexy. I just want to celebrate sexiness. And I mean, because it's amazing. And, I have a partner. I love having sex with my partner, my husband. But I also have my own sex life, that's separate from him. And, I just thought, if I know that there's a hole in my, inspiration, I think others might too. And I'm a creative. I make all sorts of things. So I was like, I could do it. And then once I got into production, I was like, how do you start? Create something that's just like, you can just go there. And then I was like, well, they need to talk to my body. They need to like relax me, like that guy did. And that was a meditation, but it didn't put together that it was going to be meditative. It was mostly just the want for women to have something that they could like be super sexy with and not be ashamed about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like it's not, sexuality and meditation aren't necessarily two things that you would put together, but it makes so much sense, especially as women. I think we really struggle to get out of our heads during sex, and as you said, to find porn that is arousing for us, because it's a lot of the time tailored towards men and what they find pleasurable and erotic. So and they kind of go perfectly together, of having some awareness of what's going on in your body and having the other person play with that, and then also translating that into sex and your experience with another person as well. So
I also got into it. I had the idea pre-shutdown, and I had the first recording session pre-shutdown, but the need for meditation and connection to like my authentic voice and self and my center and being in my body became really important during those times, because there was such a loss of control. So I was like, I just really started to see the value in masturbating. One, that's really good for us. It's like science it's all proven. We know, we could tell everybody, there's like no denying it. And meditation is good for us. I know meditation is a big turnoff for people, but because it can be so hard to sit still, but it is so good for us. And I really try with this to make it just simple, because it is very simple. And I think there's some idea of, people are starting to let go of the idea of like, clear your mind, total neutrality and connection to the spirit and float out of your body. And, and getting more conscious of meditation just being a real awareness of the sensation inside and sitting with it. Sometimes that's impossible. I'll meditate, and then the next thing I'm like doing dishes. I'm like, what? How the fuck did I get here? Yeah.
Yeah, before we move on, I just wanted to ask, like, since you mentioned, like, you have your sex life with your partner, and that's great, but then you need, like, you have, and you need your own sex life. Like, what do you personally sort of value most, and, like, what does your own sex life look like? And, yeah, like, what do you value most about that?
You know, I think it's, like every part of my life, it's just constantly changing how it works and what it does and what it needs. And I think it's, interesting that I created this app. Any energy we put into something, I think is because we need to answer questions that way, or we need some kind of healing there, or there's something personally at stake, And I think I've realized that, a lot of my life, yes, I love sex. I'm creative. I'm lusty. I have all of that, but I also can get I can get stuck. I can get in like, okay, let's do we got it. We're going to go and do that. And then that's done. And versus really taking time and carving out space for it to really be nourishing. And I'm trying to do that in both areas of my sex life, but really letting it be nourishing, I know I think it's very common to just be like, oh, that'd be a good idea. And you kind of chase the orgasm and you get it and you're like, oh, now what,
Yeah.
Versus, and that's great and does the trick, but like the feeling your way into it and letting it really move your whole body and your whole energy system, and feeling all the different levels that you're experiencing in different parts of yourself. It can really change the day more than the chasing,
Yeah.
For me, like, I really don't find it hard to sort of stay present, like when I'm by myself or whatever, and like feel the sensations and stay in the moment, and like my mind doesn't really wander very much. It's like, I feel like I'm very in the moment, but if I'm by myself, but like I really, really struggle if I'm like with someone else, because I feel like my mind is so busy, like worrying about like insecurities and like what I look like and whether they're enjoying it. And I think so like, what would you say to to someone like me, essentially, like any tips essentially to kind of like let go of those thoughts and be a little bit more in the present, in the moment?
I mean, I love hearing that you're able to be so present alone. I think that's such a gift. And I think that for me, knowing that level of presence and truth in my sensuality, to share that with someone, there's nothing hotter. Like that kind of exchange of energy is like, it will transcend any weird looking like or whatever, so it's like the outside of ourselves, it's noise and it's distraction, and like just recognizing it for what it is and just getting back to the dropping inside yourself and the shared energy, that you clearly know how to do, is so much more fun.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I feel like I've tried to, for a period of time, my parents are very into meditation, and for a period of time, I was meditating with them like every night, and I just found it like very, very hard. Like, I find it very hard to focus on certain like parts of my body, like especially my hands or like my stomach, things like that. Like, it really like sets me off. And I don't know, something about meditation, like I had all of, like, I was doing it through a period of my life that was like really hard, and I feel like I have a lot of bad memories and feelings about it. And then now recently, like, I've been like, okay, but I want to get a little bit more into mindfulness, like, and I kind of started trying to do that. You know how they say, like, try just in random moments, be like, just focus on your breathing or whatever, and then if your mind wanders, like, bring it back. But like, in the time that I'm bringing my mind back, like, I've already thought about 80,000 things. Like, I feel like it really doesn't come very easily to me. So do you have any tips for mindfulness for beginners? Because I've heard that it's like mindfulness is so important for sex and like improving your sex life. And then maybe you can talk a little bit about that as well, like how mindfulness is beneficial to your sex life and sexual well-being.
Well, first, I 100% identify with what you're sharing about meditation. I did, I would meditate in yoga classes at, a place nearby, Integral Yoga, and they created this womb-like place, and it was, after yoga, and my body was all relaxed, and they were so nurturing. I just felt so nurtured there. This is when I was in my 20s, and I got into it there, and I felt good and safe. And then I did it when I went and studied with Grotowski people. There was these Polish and Italian people in movement and song, and so we would also meditate. And when I had to sit with these people, there was this feeling of discipline around, like I felt watched, and I would, when it was over, I'd be like, oh, we would do it for a half hour or something. It felt like 30 years. And I was just like, trying to stay still, and and then I would, talk to, this Italian guy who looked like he fell from a tulip, just like 100% yellow awesomeness. And, and I'm like, man, what do you do when that rage pops up when you're in your meditation? You just want to like scream. And he was like, what? He had no idea what I was talking about. And I'm like, oh, it's not uncomfortable. He's like, no. I'm like, So, and then I have all these different, I have these, still I'll sit in it and I'll come up to something and I'll just be like, get out of here. Just like, don't touch any of this. And for me, and to answer your question about how to move forward, there's a lot of ways, but one is like, that meditation is about gentleness toward yourself and gratitude for like what is, right? And taking that time to go in and with a gentle curiosity about yourself. If your mind is wandering, and now it's not. What do you feel now? Oh, my hands are weird. Oh, my hands are weird. And you feel your hands. And then if you just keep in this like playfulness that's interior, you're slowly making more space for things to move. I don't think there's any wrong way to do it. It's just, maybe you need to make space to sit and let your mind bounce around. Maybe that's what you need. And then you just come back to different parts of your body. I have been practicing really mindfully holding space in each chakra. And we all have so much. We just check our email and it's like, there's so much all the time happening.
Yeah.
So it affects our body, and we hold it in our body, and our mind reacts, and we're in this racy zone. And just that stopping and feeling into it. And sometimes I can't. Sometimes I have to do it, like you were saying, while I'm walking down the street. Just like, maybe I don't have to be in such a hurry. Maybe I'm actually going to smell the air. as good and bad as it smells. Maybe I'm actually going to look at the clouds, like really take it in and feel it, you know? That's meditation. That's like letting your body be in the world, like as a organism, not just this.
Yeah.
Do you think that answered your question?
Yeah. I guess I never thought about it as it doesn't have to be one specific, like there's not a mold of like how to do meditation or like how to do mindfulness. It's just more about like
The process.
Yeah, as you said, like it's kind of custom, like tailor-made. It's like whatever
I really think it is.
your
And
experience
also,
is. It's
one of
just
my
more
favorite,
about tuning into that experience.
One of my favorite ways to meditate is just to put on a song that I can't help but dance my life away to, just like dance it out to, and fully feel the song and fully dance the song. That's meditation, you know? It's just, it's just a pocket you're giving yourself for presence and awareness.
Yeah, that's true. I think because as Maria was saying, she has kind of these preconceptions of what meditation has to look like, because I guess we associate meditation and yoga and stuff like that with a lifestyle. Like there's a very stereotypical ideal of what that has to look like. But
no, I did a yoga class today and we did some pose. It was hot yoga and I did some pose, and then I sighed as I came out of it, and he looked at me and he said, "No drama." And
oh God.
I was like, okay. Okay, teacher person. You know, that, thank you for that. But that lesson for me was, you know, what did that sigh mean to me? Did I need it? Like, and he's teaching the where the meditation that you would usually think is this zone of in between, you know, I'm just in this in between neutral place, you know, and that's not that is a place that I like. That's you know, very conscious and can see right from wrong and make decisions, and I get there. But sometimes I just have to be in wherever I actually am. Like I need to sigh. I need to cry. I need to express myself. I don't know. I had a lot of reactions to that person today.
Yeah, I think it's difficult because people expect to go from like nothing to like 0 to 100 of being able to clear your mind completely. But to even get to that point at all, you have to go through the process of working through all the feelings that you already have in your body. And I guess we're relating that back to sexual meditation. It's, you can't just expect to be present in the moment overnight, or you know, just go from having a super busy mind to being able to have a clear mind and feel the feelings that you need to feel. There's all of these steps that you have to take to be able to get to that place. So yeah, I think that's why sexual meditation is so intriguing.
Yeah.
So could you tell us a few of the techniques that you give on the app to do sexual meditation? Like, what does that look like, and how does someone that's a beginner in their sexuality or their meditation or both start to go on that journey?
I think, you know, there's some that are called ritual. There's very few. They're called rituals, and they're where there's no imagined experience. It's just somebody kind of telling you how to touch yourself, which isn't really that exciting to me. That doesn't excite me too much. It doesn't feel very creative. It just feels like, But we did nevertheless make some of those. So, but those are a good entry point for if somebody's really new, you know, personally, I like more creative, like playfulness in there, and a story, and like a person who's talking to me, and he's telling me things are happening, or she.
Yeah.
And I think the way into these meditations is just going and finding a voice you like. They're all separated by voices. You know, basically the same thing happens with each person. You drop into your body. Sometimes it's a long time. If it's too long for you, push the little fast forward button. And if it's a turn off, push the stop button and pick a new voice. You know, that's really the trickiest part, is just like, what turns me on? Can I find it here? And I ended up finding other audio apps that were, sexual inspiration. They're mostly stories. Some of them are guided. It's so hard to find anything you want to listen to. Sex is so specific, So that's really the trick to it, is like finding the voice, and then, just enjoy the voice and give in and see if you can get out of your own way, because there's going to be a lot of judgment around, like, oh, is this sexy? Oh, they do one wrong thing and you're like, forget you, but like, just giving it a shot, because it's not, for people who don't listen to porn or meditate, there might be a lot of resistance. So I would say just give it a good old try one time. See how it turns out, because it seems to be really nourishing. People are really enjoying it.
That's great.
Yeah.
So how fine is the line between like it being porn and it being meditation, would you say?
It definitely, porn means content for sexual arousal, or, it's like, it just means it's for sexual arousal. So it is that.
Yeah.
And some of them are, very gentle, and there's always, except for in the ritual, there's not, but there's always a full-on intimate act that's climactic. And it's climactic in the sense that it gets more and more intense. It's not saying, have an orgasm now, or, there's a lot of different ways, but it gets very sexy. There's one that was written and done that is very, very well detailed anal sex, like beginning to end, what it's like, you really go there. And then there's some that are like tantric, where it's super slow, and it's about the moments in between things. And there's even a feather, and like, that kind of slower, more sensual, sensory.
And before you'd mentioned, I think this was before we started recording, but you'd mentioned that people use it, like, it's tailored towards women, but also people use it like with their couples, like as a couple. Like, how are there kind of specific things like for couples, or like how might people use it with a partner?
I think with a partner, one, it's men are pretty open with what'll turn them on. They're pretty, especially if their woman is there, I had a friend tell me that he's like, oh, we discovered your app while we were on vacation, and, our neighbors in the hotel they were staying in called the front desk. I was like, yes. So they really liked it. But I think, couples want to connect. So like, having something playful in between them that, it isn't like close up of penetration, and it's, an interesting new way of playing, probably.
I mean, I guess we've touched on the benefits of meditation just overall, but do you think there's any benefits to having a better sex life and having better sex that can carry over into just your normal everyday life? Like, why is good sex so important, and why is it so important that we have sex that is, yeah, tailored to our own idea of pleasure for broader implications in our life?
I said I have so many different answers to that question. Like, so many
Please
ways
go
at
all
it.
of them.
One is, a little woo-woo, but I like the chakra system, and the lower three, just our lower spine supports our upper spine. That energetic space provides and serves the rest of them, and if the lower ones are not embodied, the voice will get stuck, it'll get stuck places. And I experience that as a reality. And I gave birth, so I had, an enormous head come out of me and like blast my bones. Like, just the whole thing was just like, rah. It's like, will I ever have my vagina back? What is this broken jellyfish? And, and then it was just like parenting and holding the baby and just this like broken, healing organism. And, and slowly I get stronger. And, but I think that, trauma or physical injury or whatever needed a lot of care. And it's also, the lower three is also, the root is our grounding, is our like place in the world. And then there's our identity in the sacral chakra, which is in the sex and in the creativity. And then there's the drive and and I find in my work and a lot of yogis' work, when you can physically strengthen and align, and also energetically expand and feel into those spaces, you know who you are, you know what you want. Like I know my voice, I know my place. And so that is something that can be worked on sexually. Like, if you have a lot of sex, you have stronger muscles, you have more, if it's good sex, you have better energy down there. You glow. I named it glow because of that. Because we glow afterwards. It's good for us. We've heard since we were, teenagers, probably, if you want love, you have to love yourself, or, and to be able to properly satisfy yourself sexually, is just so important, to not go out in the world unfulfilled, hungry for that connection, to be able to care for yourself, that's a beautiful thing.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's a good note to end on. Like, sex as a form of self-care.
Yeah. Of course.
But before we go, could you tell people where they can find you, where they can find Glow?
Yes, I'm writing a note
Anything
right
else
now
you want them to know?
for your listeners. who made it this far, they can use the code SEXTRAS for $20 off of the $47.99 a year. So that would make it $27.99 for a year of unlimited listening. There's new sessions every week. You can also do it for $8.99 a month if you just want to dabble. And you can get it on either app store, and you can also get it on guidedbyglow.com.
Great.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
What a treat to our listeners.
Yeah, and to us. I'm excited. I'm going to go and check it out.
Well, it has been such a pleasure. You guys are so beautiful.
Yeah,
I was
thank you
sad
so
when the
much,
video
Sarah.
turned off for a second. I was like, I like them.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And you guys know where to find us. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Sextras Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Sextras Podcast. Go to our website, www.sextraspodcast.com, or send us an email, sextraspodcast@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week. Bye.
You've been listening to Sextras, presented by Honey Jane Wyatt and Maria Jose Hayodatiyi. Produced by Mabel Productions.